everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Epic Live podcast. Today, we are continuing our mini series where we're going to be interviewing some of our instructors that teach here at the Epic in our series called Epic Live Behind the Scenes. And today, we are so thankful to be joined by Miss Lizzie Sherry. She is a local bakery owner of Sweet Lizzie's Bakery, and she also teaches some wonderful decorating classes here at the Epic. Lizzie, thank you so much for being with us.
Sure, I'm excited.
Absolutely. So to start off, let's just hear a little bit about your story and how you came to be a teacher here at the Epic.
Okay. Well, I've run my home bakery for 16 years now, and I started out with cakes, and that was fun, and then I just kind of got sick of it, so I transitioned into cookies. I've been doing cookies for about 10 years now. And I've taught lots of classes out of my home, and I've gone to like churches and done group classes, and I've been doing it for so long. I started teaching classes over at the Summit, and I taught 2 classes there, and then it just kind of fizzled out. It wasn't really, once they took my class, they were done. And so you reached out to me over here, and I've been teaching classes here for, I guess, almost a year. Since
Just
you've been married almost a year, and that was about the time that we connected.
It was right about that time, yeah.
Yeah. So I do cookies for my home. I'm at the Grand Prairie Farmers Market. Now I'm at Capel Farmers Market as well. But I really love Grand Prairie. I really love I do all of the events. I'll be at the Easter Extravaganza that's coming up for Easter,
super
of course.
Cool.
And I do Main Street Fest. I do all of them. I really have a good base. I also do porch pop-ups sometimes. I was doing them every month, but I kind of moved to maybe like 2 or 3 times a year just because I do so many different events. But we just did one for Valentine's Day. But it's really neat because when I do events, even whenever I do the classes here, I'll have people that say, "Are you the lady that sets up in her front yard?" I'm like, not exactly, but yeah, that's me. Because people drive by my house and they see the sign, and I set up on my porch, and it's really lovely. It's not, me just setting up in the grass or anything, but a lot of people, know my name, which is really cool. When I go places and see people, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the cookie lady." So
making a name for yourself here in Grand Prairie and beyond. You're here, there, and everywhere from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I do lots of fun stuff. And I do regular cookies, but my heart is for allergy things. Mm-hmm. My youngest has a huge list of allergies. She's allergic to almost 200 different things.
Wow.
And so because of her, and then my middle son, he always gets left out. He's allergic to wheat, dairy, and sesame.
Oh, those are the big ones.
But for him, to me, that's like nothing because my daughter has so many allergies. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, my daughter has allergies." And he's like, "What about me, Mom? I can't eat anywhere either, but his is so much easier." Mm-hmm. So I make everything from scratch, and I've learned how to make allergy-friendly cookies. So I do a lot of gluten-free. Even though I have a gluten-filled home, I have a dedicated mixer that I use for my daughter, so I use that for the bakery. And I use like dedicated utensils and organic ingredients and all the best things. I grow a lot of the stuff myself, so
that's incredible.
If I ever use peppermint extract, it's from peppermint from my garden that I made homemade from scratch. So
that is so cool.
I can accommodate normal people, like I guess like you, because I'm not normal because I have a bunch of allergies too. But then I also do a lot of allergy-friendly stuff that, like I said, it just has my heart.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I don't think cross-contact is something that your standard American buyer really thinks about, or anybody that isn't touched by allergies, cross-contact being like cross-contamination, but specifically for allergen surfaces. And it's just a completely different way you have to think about the kitchen when it comes to those allergen sensitivities. But that's such an amazing story, so thank you for sharing that. I guess that leads us into what kind of classes do you teach and why?
So far I have taught decorated cookie classes. I'm hoping this year to add a gluten-free decorated cookie class. And anytime I do gluten-free cookies, they're automatically dairy-free as well. I have had a couple people come to classes that didn't know that I did allergy-friendly things, so they would show up and say, "We're actually allergic to egg and this and this and this. Are any of these safe?" And they're not, because I don't make them safe unless it's requested, but I can. So if anyone wants to sign up for even a regular class and they have a couple allergies, they can just let me know, and I can accommodate that for them so that they can attend and decorate, but then they can also eat them afterwards, which is the most fun part.
Of course.
So I'm hoping to add on a gluten-free decorating class, and we'll see how that one does.
Yeah, we would absolutely love to host that one. And we also offer for our in-house programs and for other instructors, if a student has an allergy concern, that's something that we want to address. But you definitely are a wealth of knowledge in that area, and I'm sure your guests are going to love it. So we're really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
That leads me into talking about classes. What is a favorite moment or story that you have from either a class that you taught here or like a question that a student brought up that you just loved that you might want to share?
Well, let's see. I think it was 2 classes ago. I had my first attendees show up, and it was a mother and a daughter. So I set them in their group because I never know. I know how many attendees I have, but I never know, what the grouping is going to be like. And then I had the next set that showed up, and it was a mother and a daughter. Then I had the next set show up, and it was parents and a daughter and a son, and it was so adorable. And it ended up everyone except for one attendee were mother-daughter groupings.
Aw, cute.
And so without even planning it, I had a mommy and me class, which they're so fun. And it was really cute because the youngest was maybe like 3.5.
Aw.
And then the oldest was maybe 17. And so it's really neat for me to be able to do a class here that stretches such a wide spectrum of a 3.5-year-old and a 17-year-old, and they all had a good time. They all learned the same kind of thing. And the 3.5-year-old actually did really amazing cookies. I was very proud of her. So yeah, I would definitely say that just the not knowing what's going to happen, and then the class starts, and it's always different every time. There's always something unique about it. It's really fun for me.
Absolutely. That's what makes it so rewarding. What a great story. That's really funny that it ended up
Yeah.
kind of working out that way, because it really can be kind of any mixed group. But that is so cute. I love that. So everybody has that take-home tip or that thing that they tell their students every time, or piece of shareable advice that they either heard or like to pass along. What is your take-home tip that you would like to share with our audience today?
Well, so during my classes, I'm only going over how to ice the cookies, but I do give a few tips about, baking, because of course they're going to bake their own cookies. But I would say the biggest question that I have is how to keep the cookies from spreading. And so one tip that I always share is to leave the baking powder out of your decorated cookie recipe, because baking powder, has baking powder or baking soda. They have a role to play in everything, so it does make the cookie a little bit fluffier. But in roll-out cookies, it really doesn't make. I mean, I've done taste tests. It really doesn't make a noticeable difference at all, and it'll keep them from puffing up, which keeps them from puffing out. So then it helps to hold its shape. Without what I used to do years and years and years ago when I first started, I would take every single tray and I would stick it in the fridge for an hour. And then I would take it out and bake it, and that held its shape. But I mean, when you're baking 20 trays of cookies, it would take forever to do it that way. And so I started experimenting, and I started taking the baking powder out. And first I would reduce it, and it helped a bit. But then one day I just went, I'm taking it all out, and it helps so much. And they hold their shape, and then you have, a cross that looks like a cross, or you have a bunny that looks like a bunny, and not this just big blob. And so I think that's a very simple tip that everybody can follow.
I didn't even know that. That's a great tip. I think I'm going to keep that one in my pocket.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea that. And, leaveners, like you think, oh man, that definitely has to be there. But I didn't think of it that way. Thank you for sharing.
Sure.
So what is, and I think we might have touched on it already, but what is your dream program or dream class that you're either planning and looking forward to, or, in your wildest dreams that you would love to bring to the Epic?
I'm pretty simple. I really just like the decorated cookies. I mean, I can do so many things. Like I said, because of my daughter's allergies, I can make anything from scratch. She'll see something on TV and she's like, "Mom, what's that?" And it's Skittles. And she'll say, "Can you make me that?" I'm going, "How in the world can I make Skittles?" And I can make them. I can't do the candy coating because I don't have the fancy machine, but I can figure it out. I always have. One time she asked for a chewy kind of candy like a Starburst, and I made it. I have a freeze dryer as well, so
That's amazing.
that helps out with textures and things. I make homemade lollipops. I do all of those kinds of things, and they're fun. But my heart really is just decorating because it's so artsy. And even in my decorating room, there's one little side of the wall that my daughter's allowed to come in while I'm working, and she just paints, and she'll paint on top of paint on top of paint, and that's just her little section. The rest of the walls I paint on too. So I don't have a lot of time for it. I really just love doing the decorating. My favorite thing is outside of my kids and Jesus is Hello Kitty. And I did a Hello Kitty set this week, and while I was doing it, popped in my head, what if I do a Hello Kitty class? That would be so fun. And so that's what we're going to do for this next class coming up.
I saw the sample cookies and
They're so
immediately
cute.
fell in love. I was like, oh, those are going to be a winner. I absolutely love that. Hello Kitty, also a fan. I actually like cinnamon roll the best.
Uh-huh.
And somebody just kind of
You
ruined my
got
life
mine.
and told me he's actually a dog
Oh.
this week. I was like, I thought he was a bunny. So I can't wait to see how those cookies turn out because they looked like basically 1-to-1.
You know, if he's a bunny in your heart, he can be a bunny. It's okay.
And he'll be a bunny on the cookie that I make in your class for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so before we go ahead and close out today's episode, what is next for you in your career and here at the Epic?
So I've been doing a lot of freeze-dried fruits, and that's been really fun. I love doing freeze-dried fruits because I use local organic fruits as much as I possibly can. So peach season's coming up again, and that's my absolute favorite thing to freeze-dry. They have two varieties. I go to Larkin Farms in Waxahachie, and they don't spray anything on their stuff at all, and it's just comes from the earth, and they use natural practices. And so those are really great. But they have two types of peaches. They do a yellow peach, which is like more tart, and then they do a white peach, which I don't know if you've ever tasted a white peach.
Oh, yeah.
They're very, very super sweet.
Super sweet.
Yes. And when you freeze dry a fruit, it actually intensifies the sweetness or the tartness. So if it's tart, it's going to be more tart. So I really love the freeze dried white peaches because they get so super sweet. It's really like eating candy, but it's just fruit. So I've been experimenting with different things. I just did for Valentine's Day, when I normally would just freeze dry strawberries, I dipped them in a vegan white chocolate or a vegan dark chocolate, and tried that out, and they were so good.
Really?
So I've been trying out different things. I want to try maybe pumpkin pie bites and different things. And a lot of people come to my booth and they'll buy cookies, of course, because they're adorable and they taste good, and they're just really fun, but they're hesitant to try the freeze-dried stuff. So I like to do samples where I can, because once you taste it, I mean, it's amazing. It's 100 times better than the stuff you get at the store. Stuff at the store has like sprays and citric acid and all kinds of stuff on it, and mine is just the fruit. So I'm really having fun doing that. So I think I'm looking forward to expanding my freeze-dried fruit varieties.
You could be the trendsetter. This could be the next big food fad. Yeah, it actually kind of reminded me when you said the freeze-dried white peaches. Kind of reminded me of like those peach-o candies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like, does it kind of turn out like that?
Well, I mean, those are gummy. So,
Sure.
Actually, my mom has a freeze-dried candy business, and so she'll do things like that. And I can't do freeze-dried candy in my machine because I have to keep it safe for my daughter.
Sure.
So I only do safe stuff for her in there, which is really great because then, everything's completely gluten-free. There's no chance of cross-contact. And so that works well for my allergy clientele as well. But no, so they get really like light, and then they get very crisp and just kind of airy. It's not so crunchy. It depends on the variety. And what's weird is that peaches at the beginning of season freeze dry different than peaches at the end of the season.
Ooh.
The ones at the end of the season have more sugar content, so sometimes they'll be a little more crunchy, and at the beginning they'll be a little more airy, but they're not quite as sweet. They're still sweet, but not quite. It's so strange because they come from the same trees. It's just, I guess, I know with the farmers, even like if it has just rained, their peaches get a little more watery, and so then those will be a lot lighter and airier too. So
Wow, that's fascinating.
yeah.
That's so cool. I think that we should all definitely be looking out for you at some of the farmers markets that you do. You said you're doing GP, a couple of events in Coppell, and we cannot wait for your next Hello Kitty class and possibly an allergen class here at the Epic. So everybody, thank you again so much for joining us for another episode of Epic Live Podcast, and we'll see you later. Bye.